it's Lisa Marie. We're here with the Florida Palette, and we have
Anthony. How are you?
Hey guys, we're waiting for everyone to join us. We don't want what happened last time to happen this time as well. So, can we see the people coming in, or what's going on this time? Oh, so we can. Hi Tim, thanks for joining us. We're still waiting for everyone to join us as well. No, we're not going to swipe left this time.
Yeah.
All right, so just can we have one person write a comment so we can make sure we can see all the comments before we get started?
Just to make sure that we can see them.
Absolutely. Tim, can you write something in the comment section so we can make sure that we can see your comments before we get started? Yay! All right, perfect. All right. Okay, guys, we are here. This is our third week doing this. I wish you guys could really see this little cute hairdo I have now, but it looks like a little crazy mohawk on film. Just excuse it for this time being. I had to say that just so I can feel comfortable for the rest of the video. Anthony was asking me if I wanted to put on a hat right before we started this, but we're just going to be real. But I promise you, up closer it looks a lot better. But anyways, we're talking about, the first week we talked about hotels and resorts. Second week we talked about spas. And today, what's on everyone's mind, we are talking about hurricanes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So the first thing is, when did you move to Florida?
Did you want to, Hurricane Andrew. Actually, 1990.
You moved to Florida the year of Hurricane Andrew?
Yeah, actually the year before Hurricane Andrew. Central Florida for a year. Then we went from Central Florida to Miramar. And that same year... I moved to Florida
the year before Andrew.
Yep, that's the same year.
We were meant to be.
Yeah.
We were meant to be.
And you moved from New York, and so did I.
Yep, absolutely. You're following me, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved into Florida the year before Andrew, and then where were you living during Andrew?
In Miramar, actually.
Okay, so I was in Weston and you were in Miramar. So, as you all know, Andrew hit mostly South Florida, like Miami area.
Yeah.
But so what happened to your house during Andrew?
We just moved down here to Miramar. My mom just got a job at the nursing home, so now she had to. Not only did the hurricane hit and then we were trying to board up windows, all this stuff, but then she had to go to the facility and we didn't see her for like days, maybe about a week, because we were out of power and all this stuff. But the home didn't get destroyed or anything, more so down in Kendall, Homestead. Fortunately, we were all right, but it was a pain without any AC and stuff like that. But
after Andrew, you didn't have any AC?
Yeah, we had no power whatsoever.
In Miramar?
Yep.
Really? Wow. For Andrew, for me in Weston, the only thing that happened was like we had like a little, like the mesh on our pool, over our pool flew off a little bit. But when we drove down to Kendall and we saw my grandmother, like it looked like a bomb had hit Kendall.
Oh,
like, it was devastating. Like I can remember being a child, like with my mouth open, watching like the area, and I could not believe it. Hey Lauren, thanks for joining us. That's my cousin. So, we went through Andrew. Andrew didn't really bother us. It was my first hurricane. I didn't really know what to expect. Thank you, Lauren. We're glad to be safe. I didn't really know what to expect in Andrew, and I was only like 8 or 9, so I didn't, I was kind of excited about it, but definitely not knowing that we had walked into like a state of hurricanes that would be the first of many.
Yeah.
So after Andrew, when was your next big hurricane?
Oh man, I think the next big hurricane had to be, I think it was Ivan. That was the next one, actually.
So who were you dating during Hurricane Ivan in 2004?
This girl named Lisa Marie.
That was me. So tell them what happened. I was living at home with my parents in 2004. I had just graduated from college, and you lived in Hollywood.
Yep.
And during the Hurricane Ivan, I was bored out of my mind. Like I'm at home with my parents. The shutters are up. And we were so in love. I haven't seen you in a day or two. What am I going to do?
Did either of us lose power or no?
No, we didn't lose power.
Yeah.
Actually, some people did lose power, but just not us.
Yeah.
So it was like the eye of the storm, and Anthony came and picked me up in the eye. That's some true love.
That's right.
He came during the eye of the storm. My parents were like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna go out in a hurricane?" And he came and got me and drove me all the way from Sunrise to Hollywood, and I got to spend some time with him during the eye of the storm. And then of course he lived with Todd.
Yeah.
So we were all hanging out at your house, and then Andrea came over.
That's right. Yeah.
His sister, and we were hanging out. And after a while, that whole area, they had lost power. So we like, let's go to Chili's, because that was our spot. Like back when we were dating, Chili's was like,
especially when you're on a budget.
Was like Chez Maurice, like, woo, we're doing it big time with Chili's. So we went over and joined. We went to Chili's.
But also too, also during that hurricane, I also had to drive my mom, pick my mom up, and take her to work during the hurricane as well too, to another facility. So I drove into the hurricane twice. Storm chasers.
You guys, give him a round of applause. He's looking for applause on this. Give him a round. Lauren put 2 for $20 at Chili's. So we went to
Chili's.
We went to Chili's, and like we were like, oh, let's have this steak. We just went through like you know, some big hurricane trauma. So I ordered a steak. He ordered the steak.
My sister Andrea worked at Chili's at that time too. Not at that one, I think.
I'm not sure. I don't remember. And he ordered a steak, and I ordered a steak, and then we went home, and I don't even think it was like an hour where our stomach was like blah, 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 blah.
Poop emoticon.
And we were still dating, so like you don't want to have an uneasy stomach with the guy that you're dating.
Yeah, David, you know about it. Queasy.
And also, like, even though we were just dating, like, it was just so, like, I couldn't go home where, like, a hurricane had just happened. I'm at his house. And that was, like, the first time, like, I had gotten sick with my stomach in front of him. So, of course, and Anthony, Lauren would hold it in.
Sometimes you just gotta go.
Lauren, so it was just so bad because, like, he knew what I was rushing to the bathroom to do, and I knew what he was rushing to the bathroom to do. But we were just so embarrassed because we were like, we had only been dating. Like, we started dating in April of that year, and this is hurricane season, so I think it was like September. Yeah. So, like, we hadn't even been together, like, for 6 months yet. So, in Anthony fashion, he was, like, knocking on the door, like, I need to come in, knowing he didn't even have to come in.
I needed to brush my teeth.
Yeah, right. Like, he's like, I need to come in. I need to come in. Like, why do you need to come in here now? This is so embarrassing. So we definitely went through a lot with Hurricane Ivan. But I will say, in defense of Chili's, we wrote them a letter and told them that because they lost power, they had served bad meat. Yep. And they gave us, like, I want to say, like, maybe over $100 worth of gift cards. Yeah. And most people with pride would say, I'm not going to go back there. We sure went back.
Not us.
We sure went back.
On a tight budget.
We definitely went back. That's so sad.
Random point, though. Have you ever had to use the bathroom when you're driving on the street, and then you run out, go to the gas station, run to the bathroom, try to open up that door, can't, realize you got to go grab the key from the inside at the counter, grab this big key with the baseball bat attached to it, run it to the inside, and then have to use it? No? Never. I can't even relate. I can't relate. I mean, this is the Florida palette. We talk about good food and travel here. That was like beyond random right now. Lauren put free. So, Hurricane Ivan is very memorable for us because that was the first time we got sick together as a couple. And the first time I had food poisoning.
Yeah, that was our first food poisoning episode. But it brought us together.
Yeah, yeah.
But on another note of being with the Florida palette, unfortunately, we do not visit Chili's anymore because Chili's has gotten us sick 2 or 3 times.
2 times. 2 times.
And that's enough. So, for all those who still go out to Chili's, you know, congrats to you.
I wish you luck.
I wish you luck. It will bring you closer to your mate.
Godspeed.
So the next hurricane after that was the next year, 2005. If you live in Florida, you knew that year probably like 1 million hurricanes happened in that one year.
They actually crisscrossed.
applesauce.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It was just like so much, so many hurricanes. That was the year like everyone wanted to leave Florida and migrate to Georgia because it was just like hurricane after hurricane, kind of like this year.
Yeah.
But that was Wilma. So in 2005, you were living at your condo and I had my condo.
Yeah.
Lauren said she remembers Charlie. Lauren, what year was Charlie in? I don't remember Charlie.
I think Charlie was one of the ones that went across the state as well too.
Oh, I don't remember. Which year was that, Lauren? Let us know. For Wilma, that was like our first big one together.
Yeah, that one was serious.
So we stayed, you stayed with me for Wilma, and we bunker. What's that new hurricane word? We hunkered down. What's it?
Hunkered down.
We hunkered down.
Hunkered down.
Hunkered down for Wilma.
Down the hatches.
And the next morning when we woke up for Wilma, oh my gosh, it was like
it was
devastating. Like all the trees were down.
We couldn't even get out of the condominium community because the trees were blocking. Get out in terms of driving out because the trees were blocking the entrances.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. And then in addition,
yeah, that's right. It was one of those back-to-back ones,
yeah. See, it was in 2005. Yeah. You're right, Lauren.
But we pray to God that Maria isn't a back-to-back one.
I know.
We bind you, Maria, in the name. Sorry.
The Holy Ghost took over him on the chat. My sister-in-law joined. Hey, please don't look at my hair, sis. It looks so much cuter in person. I promise. Okay. Alrighty. So then we talked about Hurricane Irma. So tell me, so you have to give my credit, give everyone the credit that I deserve. What did I say when I first saw Irma coming?
That we got to evacuate. Evacuation.
Evacuation going on. Evacuation going on. No, hey Andrea,
hey.
When I saw Irma, I was like, something doesn't feel right. I feel like this one's coming. We haven't had one since 2005. This is one that we need to worry about. And by the next day, it was like under state of emergency.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were really nervous. It was like a Category 5 hurricane.
Especially after you've seen all that disaster that occurred in Houston, and then from Harvey, and then seeing everything that happened in Barbuda, which that was the first time we ever heard whether there'd be a Barbuda.
I know.
Never heard of a Barbuda.
We're the Florida Palette, and we never heard of Barbuda before this year.
Yeah. But that was really, I think that's what really got us real scared after seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, you know, Houston had the flooding, Barbuda had so much loss to the island, and it was, so last week, Monday, it was a state of emergency. By Tuesday, we were looking for flights out of Florida. Yeah. And I will say, like we said, we've been here since '91. This is the first hurricane that we've ever thought of leaving Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
To go elsewhere for. And we were looking, we tried to go to Phoenix, Los Angeles, Denver, Minnesota, even Toronto. And y'all know I don't like Toronto for anything.
Only because you got hit by a tick. Come on.
Only because I got bit by a tick?
It only partially paralyzed you.
Yeah, I got bit by a tick and was paralyzed. But, you know, why don't I like Canada?
That's all right.
But he's from Canada, so I said, let's see if we can get to Toronto.
Jungle.
It was horrible. We couldn't go anywhere. Everywhere was booked.
We did. I did see one flight that was Alaskan Air, which was like $2,000. It was ridiculous. They were overpricing some of these tickets, taking advantage of the situation. So
we just said we're gonna hunker down, and we boarded up the house and got all of our supplies. And as you guys saw some pictures this week, Anthony is. I thank you so much because Anthony is like the Anthony is the king of safety, because like I really honestly had very little to do. Like he went and got all the supplies from weeks before the hurricane was even here. He had rain suits.
Something was coming.
He really was prepared. I only had to go to the supermarket maybe once to get a few items, but he really had everything down. But even though we were prepared, we had our shutters up, we had food, we had everything we needed.
Solar-powered phone charger, solar-powered lantern.
Yeah.
Although they actually didn't recharge.
So Lauren wants to know, we never needed to use the suits that Anthony bought.
No, those rain suits never got used.
But I will say he did, you know, he had a generator for us.
Yeah.
He was able to get solar powered everything. And he got a mini AC that we didn't figure out how to use until after the hurricane, but it worked well. So definitely.
Then we had to improvise, pull the MacGyver for you guys that are old enough to remember MacGyver. Took a fan and then put some ice and then have the fan blow on the ice to give you some sense of cool.
It didn't work.
But it didn't work.
It was still hot. But anyways, with all that preparation that we did, it's still scary when... hi, Uncle Linford! Oh!
Linford, Jamrock, yes.
It's still scary no matter what. You're so prepared. It's still scary when you turn on CNN and they're like, killer hurricane coming to Florida, residents won't leave. It's going to, you know, there was even a meteorologist that said that if this hits, you will die and your kids will die too. So I'll admit it on camera, by Friday or Saturday night I was crying. I was like, oh my God, we should have left.
But the main reason is because CNN said, the governor said, everyone's got to evacuate out of Florida. Exactly, the fake news, that's exactly what I was saying, Sean. CNN overhyped so many things. I was like, we can't watch any of the national news. We got to stick to pure local, because it was like, I actually understood what Trump meant when he said fake news.
For the first time.
It agitated
It was hard
me.
to agree with Trump on something, but for the first time we saw that. Yeah, and Anthony was like, stop watching CNN, watch the local news.
Yeah.
And I actually had a friend, he's not on the chat yet, but he'll see this video. His name is Wesley.
Looks like David Chappelle.
Yeah, he does. His name's Dave Chappelle. But so he called me and he said, you better evacuate, because if you don't evacuate now, they'll have to evacuate you from your house, your rooftop later. And I was like, whoa, like, this is really intense.
Yeah.
Like, so...
There was a lot of stress during that, because people calling you saying, oh, you got to get out. We've been watching the news. Like, you got the stress of having to prepare for the hurricane as it is. And then you got family and friends that don't live in the area who are stressing you out. It was just such a stressful situation, and that was before it even occurred.
Yeah, and we just want, you know, this is not a religious site, but, you know, no matter what channel we have, no matter what blog we have, we're going to give the honor to God, and we just thank God for allowing just the hurricane to shift over to the west a little bit and not impact us as much. However, we're still so saddened by all the islands that were affected. And we really hope that somehow we can do something to help them in their time of need. Yeah.
That's right, Sean. It's hilarious. Evacuation.
Alrighty, so, and then, so the storm came. The storm's here. What did you think about the winds? Like, that was crazy.
The winds were really crazy, because we have the storm shutters up. So then the accordion shutters, so you were hearing the wind bash against the storm shutters, and then I started to think, are these shutters able to actually hold and withstand this wind? And at one point in time, we were able to look outside at one point in time, and the big tree came down, blocked the whole street. But the interesting thing is, people who we know who have impact windows, actually a number of people said that they were actually nervous before the storm, wondering if the impact windows actually hold up, and apparently it did its trick.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys were feeling, even if you're outside of Florida. Tell us what you guys were thinking before the storm and during the storm. If you're in Florida, send us your thoughts of what you guys were thinking as well, because I don't, you know, as much as the news can show trees down and water floods, it doesn't really capture the emotional side, and we went through a lot. Just with family and loved ones. So let us know what you guys were feeling and thinking at any time during the storm or before. Also, just like during the storm, I was really, really nervous. I was fearful, but I'm just so happy it's over. We got through it. After the storm was worse in other ways.
After the storm was worse.
Because we lost power, and that sounds so trivial to lose power. But it was so hot, you guys, in Florida. But if that's the only thing that we lost, then I guess that's nothing.
Yeah, but being out of power for 4 days, no AC, that was like one of the worst feelings. I didn't realize how much we really depended on the air conditioning until when it actually happened.
Yeah. So Sean says he wasn't worried at all. He said he's so jaded about hurricanes, to be honest. Where's Sean located?
Sean's right here in Broward County.
You weren't worried about a Category 5? It did remind us of Wilma. Yeah. But if it had hit us directly, it would have been a lot stronger.
Yeah, so, Tampa was crazy as well, too. That's right.
Yeah, Tampa was crazy. I'm so glad you guys are okay, Tim. Oh, and Sean's in Sunrise.
But the funny thing is, although like around our neighborhood was out of power, there was trees down everywhere, just south, when you go to Doral, I went to my friend of my house yesterday, his whole neighborhood, there was not one tree that came down. It's a new development. It was interesting how the winds and the rains affected some areas, but not all the areas.
Yeah, it's like it played hopscotch through Florida. So my next question or point is people who stayed. So I know some people who chose to stay because they're like, I live in Florida, I'm gonna ride it out 305 to the day I die. And why do you think they stayed?
Some people probably stayed because they had a fear of if they leave, it's going to be harder for them to even get back. Which turned out to be the case, right? Yeah. Because there were some people I heard that they left and it took them 22 hours just to get to Atlanta, or it took them 8 hours to get to Orlando. You know? Yeah. And then also too, they want to be able to, see what's going on with their house. If something happens to their roof, put tarp up quickly, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and we were happy in the long run that we stayed, but I think that next time, if it's above a Category 4, and this is 2 Floridians, I don't think we would stay again.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm getting out of Dodge.
Yeah, we'd have to fly out, just because, we're loyal to Florida, but it's about your life sometimes. And if you look at Key West and you see the people, how they're struggling down there right now, it's definitely sad.
Yeah.
And Tim's exactly right. It's like the people who were trying to leave, it's like every few hours the path would change. Like you're like, okay, go to Tampa. Oh no, go to Jacksonville. Oh no, go to Georgia. Nope, you're not. You weren't safe anywhere. No. So exactly.
That's exactly what we try to do too. We try to go to Phoenix or California or Minnesota, somewhere out of the entire region altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next question for you guys is traveler's insurance. I don't think we're cheap, but we definitely we feel like sometimes we're wasting money with traveler's insurance. Yeah. But as you can see, if you had a trip planned over the last week or so, it would be really good to have traveler's insurance. However, if you were with Cheap Caribbean, I can tell you that Cheap Caribbean is like one of the best plans to fly with or book a hotel with, because they honor, like, we missed our flight a couple months ago and they took care of us. My parents were supposed to go out to Jamaica for the right after the hurricane. They refunded it and said you can pick another time to go. Yep. So definitely, if you go with Cheap Caribbean, you're covered, but not where anywhere else is really covered. How many of you guys buy travel insurance, and why do you or do you not do it?
Yeah, I think we've only bought travel insurance one time, because it was like a pretty long trip and far out, and we just weren't really sure. But it comes in handy, especially depending on what the situation is, or sometimes depending on the credit card that you use. Because one time I booked a trip, and then that's when I hurt my back and I couldn't fly. But the credit card that I had actually had insurance built into it, and it was able to actually cover it.
Good. We have some comments about Cheap Caribbean. Lauren agrees Cheap Caribbean's amazing. For Sean, cheapcaribbean.com is a site where you go to where it has like the best package deals. Yeah. And you can get a package deal to go to anywhere in the Caribbean or Mexico at amazing rates. And if you miss your flight for a good reason, or if for some reason you or if you happen to like have a hurricane or anything like that, they'll work with you. So, but travel insurance, it sucks because you got to pay extra, but if you're traveling during the hurricane season, it's definitely worth it.
Because Andrea just made a comment that she it's too much, the extra money for the travel insurance. But I think Andrea went on a cruise, and because of a hurricane, she had to be detoured.
Yeah, and honestly, if you have a cruise, they probably won't cancel your cruise. Yeah. They'll just like have you go to, like, stay at sea and go somewhere else, or go to a port you don't want to go to. Yeah. But who wants to do that? You pick those ports for a reason.
Yeah, and Lauren's going on a cruise. She said she just put travel insurance, especially after seeing what's going on in the Caribbean right now too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's really good.
Yeah, Cheap Caribbean. Yeah, they're amazing. Great customer service. They and a lot of times too, it's a package where it's your trip, the resort, as well as the airfare. But then also they have deals during off seasons where I've seen some things where for 2 people it's like $800 with round trip flight and at a good resort for 4 days, 3 nights, or even more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew and Lauren have some great points. So definitely get your travel insurance, and don't forget, if you're outside of Florida, don't give up on visiting us.
Yeah.
We will be open for business. We might be under construction right now, but we are definitely open for lots and lots of travel in the upcoming months. Hotels are opening up again. Yeah. Beaches are clearing out. So we definitely want you to come and join us. Any other words, honey?
No, I think that should do it so far.
Alrighty, it is 7:29. Any questions about Hurricane Irma? The glare's too much for me, honey. Any questions about Hurricane Irma that you have for us? See you in December, Lauren. Any other questions about any hurricane experience that we went through? Irma, Wilma, Andrew, Matthew, Ivan. We're hurricane pros. What about Maria? I know for all of those watching the news, Hurricane Maria is at sea, about to beat up those same islands that Irma touched. Crazy. So definitely, think of those islands. Yeah. Good, get ready for my return. Yes, we're going to make sure that we're all set for you, Tim. And
why do all these female hurricanes end with an A?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all do. I almost feel like you got that question from somebody else.
I heard it somewhere.
But if there's no other questions for us, we're going to be closing out. So we always love seeing you. We're going to see you again in 2 weeks. We're actually putting out a Hurricane Irma video that just shows how we felt during the video. It shows just emotions of other people.
Yeah.
And just like the things that we were seeing on TV. So we definitely appreciate the love, and we love you guys incredibly.
All right, signing out.
Signing out. Bye.